Before you post a comment about how expensive quality art supplies are, let me just say, I get it. I've been playing with watercolors for about 5 or 6 years, and it's taken time to accumulate all of the tools and supplies I now have in my studio. During that time, I struggled through poor quality paints, brushes, and papers. In fact, I still keep a stash of cheap watercolor paper on hand because I don't want to waste the good stuff on practice and experimentation. But there's also stuff that I've moved on from that I might not ever use again for one reason or another. Hi, I'm Irene, and when I recently got a look at what my new to watercolor sister had in her art stash, well, I immediately started a mental list of things I could pass on to her. Things I wouldn't cry over giving up. There was a brief self check. Hey now, don't be an art snob. Nobody likes that person. But here's the thing. She's had her supplies for 5 years, and she hasn't used them. 5 years. So I'm hoping this kit of next level stuff serves as an impetus to arting, and maybe gives her a leg up on her journey. My sister is not new to art, mind, since she was always good at drawing. She just hasn't done much of it for decades, and now she's interested in trying watercolors. So my goal, assemble a modest watercolor kit, paints, brushes, and papers from what I have in the Inkworks studio. One I could then send to her through the post. You might be thinking, but Irene, did you want this to be a surprise? You're totally tipping your hand here. To which I answer, no, I don't like springing surprises on people. This way, she has the opportunity to say, I don't want your cast-offs, before I actually send the package. Besides, I'm pretty sure she doesn't watch this channel, because she said so. Something about working a lot and not having much spare time. That's her story anyway. Personally, I think it's because I don't paint enough flowers. What you saw a moment ago was my main drawer of watercolors. It's what I use for most of my in-studio work. It's a collection of various brands like Daniel Smith, M. Graham, Da Vinci, and others. But there is a second drawer, and it holds empty paint pans, some specialty colors, and 24 half pans of Holbein watercolors. In the early days, I tried the awful Artist Loft cake set. It was like 36 colors for $10. Yeah, no, I wouldn't wish that on anyone. Then it was Winsor & Newton's Cotman set of 12 half pans. That was definitely better, but it was still student grade. Then I got my first set of professional quality watercolors from Holbein, and boy, that was a game changer. I had fun with it for maybe a year or two before exploring other professional brands. They are very good paints. They just aren't my favorite anymore. The point is, they've been sitting around, mostly unused, so it's no sacrifice to pass them on to someone else. I dug up my old swatch chart, but figured my sister would enjoy making her own, so I created another one that she could fill in. All I did was cut some watercolor paper to size, lay out a grid, write down the color names, and draw boxes for the actual swatches. Okay, maybe that was too much hand-holding. Just trying to be a good sister here. All 24 half pans went into a gently used metal hinged pallet. Demonstrated here is how to push the tabs in so the pans will fit snugly on the tracks. Also, how to insert the pans, short lip first, then push down until it's secured under the rolled edge of the tab. It makes a noticeable and satisfying click sound. It's nearly as good as popping bubble wrap, I tell you. That's just me removing some sticky magnets. It's a long story that I don't want to get into right now. Instead, I want to point out that this isn't some sort of look at what a nice person I am thing. Not mostly, anyway, because I'm going to admit I had a touch of bratty younger sister-itis. That's right. When my brother tried to teach me how to ride a bicycle, I fell, scraped my knee, ran to Mom, and threw him under the bus. Brothers, sisters, none were safe from the baby of the family. So sending some kindness their way now is the least I can do. In this video, I completely forgot to show the pretty little baskets my sister gave me. She made them using old plastic grocery bags by cutting them into strips and carefully weaving them together. I don't understand it, and it blows my mind, really. I'm using them as, of course, candy dishes, and you'll get to see them in a future video. In fact, one of these days, I need to show you the tote bag she made me using the same technique. I'm thinking it's about the right size for holding art supplies for a plein-airing session. If I ever get the gumption to plein air, that is. It could be my own version of arachnophobia. Going out painting, then coming home unaware that a rare deadly spider hitchhiked along inside my art bag. I'd stick my hand in, gasp, stiffen, and drop dead. At the funeral, someone would say, "At least she went doing what she loved," and someone in the back would whisper, "But I thought she hated plein airing." I have some Princeton snap brushes that have served me well. They have synthetic hairs with a pleasant springiness to them. That means you have good control over your strokes, which, in my opinion, is a good thing for beginners. I would suggest that after getting familiar with these, try something with softer, thirstier hairs, such as Princeton's Neptune brushes. Those are good for looser painting styles. Princeton brushes are the sweet spot for me, being very good quality and reasonably priced. I enjoyed using the snaps for watercolors, but as I also have a number of Neptunes and Aqua Elites, as well as several individual brushes from other brands, I had moved the snaps to my gouache brush collection. Well, that has also grown, and since I prefer flats and filberts for gouache, I'm fine with donating these round brushes to my sister's art kit. Paper was trickier. Oh, I definitely think this Be Creative cold-pressed watercolor sketchbook is a good choice. It's 100% cotton with a subtle texture, 140-pound weight, in a convenient wire-bound journal format. Another cool thing is that while some other watercolor sketchbooks have 15 or 20 sheets, this one has 30. 30! The thing is, I'm halfway through this one, and I don't have another on hand. So what I'm going to do is either order one and wait to send the art kit, or maybe just include one of my other watercolor pads instead. Mainly, I just want my sister to have better than 90-pound paper. I find that stuff useless for watercolors. Fight me on it. Oh, some late-breaking studio news. My brother has kindly offered to order the Be Creative sketchbook for this art kit project. Yay! So this all started because I visited my sister and her husband last month. It was a much-needed catch-up visit that turned into a lovely eat, drink, and enjoy the outdoors day. It was the first time I'd ever tasted elderberry. Well, cranberry and elderberry juice mixed with Mountain Dew, which is a yummy combination. I'd always been curious about elderberries, ever since watching the old black and white movie Arsenic and Old Lace starring Cary Grant. It's about two elderly ladies who put lonely old men out of their misery by murdering them with elderberry wine mixed with poison. The kicker is that they aren't the only serial killers in the family. It was all played for laughs, of course. There's nothing like murder and mayhem to get the chuckles rolling. I'm happy to share this art kit exercise. Just ignore how lumpy the paints in those pans are. What can I say? It was before I knew the importance of stirring freshly poured watercolors. Until next time, remember to share your stuff. As the youngest of 8 siblings, that's a practice I've mostly benefited from. There are several salmon steaks in the freezer attesting to that. Some paints, brushes, and papers seem like a fair exchange, yeah? And stay art snobby, my friends.